at the edge of the universe.
Oh, no sound from Dan.
No sound from Dantron.
I didn't hear the music either. Did you hear the music?
I did not.
Let's do it. Hey, it's Star Trek. Serious Star Trek. Yeah,
Star Trek.
Yeah, we still can't hear it. Dantron's coming from, he's out of phase with our reality.
Well, that's really the problem, right? We're dealing with a transdimensional.
Well, because I'm muted, stupid. It's me.
There
I'm
you go.
stupid. It's because
There
I
you go.
muted myself accidentally. Sorry about that, guys. We missed. Oh my god! I do all this work on this stuff. Wait a minute, I can't let that go by.
Uh-oh. You thought having no sound was bad. Yeah, nothing.
It's a pretty graphic. I mean, it's a really nice graphic.
I think he hit a wrong switch. No, I love the beginning. He's always great.
Yeah.
Well,
it would be better with sound. But that's just.
I know. So you got no sound on that, guys. I'm really dropping the ball on my duties.
I just love here. That's better, and I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Somebody's applauding like you're a bartender who dropped a glass across the room.
I know what I did. I panicked and I changed all my audio and my microphone.
Yeah,
should be this. And now you hear this, right?
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah.
Okay, we're back in business. Serious Star Trek. Hey, Dr. Bones and Captain Fun and Dantron. This explains why Dantron flubs his technical screen from time to time.
Never gonna make chief engineer like that, Dantron.
Seriously, guys, I'm third class ensign engineering all the way.
Just reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. You'll be fine.
That's right. That's right.
That's
embarrassing. I haven't flamed out that bad in a long time.
That's the start. Turn your computer on and off of science fiction doodadery.
I think I'm gonna have.
Speaking of that, you see, I got that Story and Brandy bottle. I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
Hold that up to the screen.
It's the George Dickel sour mash, but it's give me the brandy. Yeah, you remember that one.
Love it.
I kind of don't want to take all the stuff off and paint it red because that's cool, man.
No, I like it the way it is.
And like it, you put it up like that, it's fine. Yeah, good job. I agree with John. I like it the way it is.
I like it the way it is. It has been decided.
It is decided. That's so funny how I think of New Girl quotes as being like Nancy Singh quotes.
They're about the same,
She is. She's adorable.
She is adorable. It's true. It's a great show.
Anyway, Star Trek. Oh my god.
So anyway, we have to talk about Star Trek.
Did you just watch Picard, didn't you?
I watched it last night.
Did you want to do news or did you want to take care of Picard first?
I don't care.
Verified.
Verified.
All right. Well, I'll start.
Well, okay, what kind of news we got?
Well, there's that whole Netflix streaming thing that I'm.
Let's do that later.
100% convinced is Star Trek related.
I mean, it's not Star Trek related.
I mean, it's part of their problems, right?
It's absolutely.
So I was talking to Dantron before he showed up that I have a problem saying it with hyperbole sometimes. And most people get it. I'm like, there was 18 people in that car wreck. It was only 2 or 3, but 18 sounds better. And then just people are like, there weren't 18 people in that car wreck. I'm like, when did the fucking world get so literal? Right? So now that's what I kind of mean about this Netflix thing. Like Netflix in the first season of Discovery with their whole like, you just pay for that and we'll keep
Oh,
the money.
they got screwed real hard.
I think that's when they really started to get their money issues. It's like
Yes.
the party's over when you start doing shit like that. And
What?
it
Explain
4
that.
years.
That slipped right by me. What do you mean? What?
John,
Right,
you
so,
want to do that?
So,
Yeah.
Right. So the news aspect of this is that Netflix announced that they lost 200,000 subscribers last quarter, and they expect to lose 2 million by the end of the year, the end of the fiscal year, something like that. And of course, their stock tanked, like has certainly made my life more terrible. But their stock just it just is completely tanked. And so there's this whole conversation on Twitter and social media about everyone has a theory for why Netflix is all of a sudden, quote unquote, all of a sudden going down the shitter, where other streaming services like Disney Plus, HBO Max, even Hulu to some extent are thriving at the moment, right? And part of that is, if I can just put my own 2 cents in real quick, part of that is the cyclical nature, right? No company is going to be number one forever. Netflix was number one for 2 decades? So it was inevitable that now that every single person or every other company has created their own streaming competitor, it was somewhat inevitable where there was going to be a downturn for Netflix. This also the news part is also that they just raised their prices again last quarter. So a lot of people are putting pieces together and being like, well, you raise your prices, there's competition, So
You raise an awesome point. I mean, they invented the category, right?
Right.
I mean, they invented streaming before actual streaming. So when streaming happened, they were poised to take advantage of it. And
they were the only game in town for 15
so when
years.
You invent categories, you get to rule for 5 years until everybody else figures out. So the fact that they went 15 or 20 is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, they had a competitive moat. They had a couple of things going for them that the others didn't in the beginning.
Right.
One was DVD delivery to fill that gap. So if you had a Netflix account back in the day, when they first started streaming and you still got DVDs, you really had access to everything that was out there. And Netflix had all the best exclusive content deals with Disney, with all of the major players, right, for the IP. And you don't have to be a genius. I mean, I've been short on Netflix for at least 5 years, and I was wrong stock-wise for those 5, but my reasoning behind it was absolutely right, and everybody's catching up to this now, because it's like, dude, streaming, what they used to have was novel. Nobody streamed as well. It used to be Real Player and shitty garbage. But now they've lost that. It's a commodity now. The streaming videos platform is something anybody can create. CNN just launched a fucking streaming video platform. Right?
Yeah,
they also just canceled.
Closing though.
They also just canceled their streaming.
But that also illustrates the reason why. Because the only moat is content. Content is king. Netflix, all of their best content, started their own jam. So now it's just a war of who can get the best IP. The only thing Netflix has had going for them in the past couple of years is that Squid Games thing, which I've never even watched 1 second of. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, but you can't anecdotally say that, because I mean, I've never watched Squid Game, but there's the Tiger Real Crime.
There was that. Yeah, there was that one.
There's always something every year.
Well,
I think Netflix just rocks it.
But look at both of those things that were hits. Cost nothing. They're spending all this money. They spent billions on content creation and funding these studios for very low results, very low ROI as far as dollar invested for eyeball watching and customer retained. I think that's what's going on.
I think the point that you're both circling and kind of assuming is that basically their licensing caught up with them. Right. So they lost The Office. They lost Parks and Rec. They lost Friends. All of these other, just like you said, all of these other players made their own and said, "Oh, well, when our deal with Netflix runs out, our number one show is coming back to us." So now, if you're a Friends addict, you're not going to get Netflix. You're going to get, NBC or whatever, Peacock or whatever the hell it's called.
Hulu or Peacock or whatever it is.
Right. So all of those contracts kind of have come to an end. And so I think, if I had been paying more attention, I would have sold my stock earlier. But I think that's a pretty big part of it too.
Yeah, their subscriber growth had been slowing too over previous quarters.
Right.
This is the first time that it actually dropped. And if you just look at what happened in the past couple of years, the competition, I look at my own watching habits and the habits of my family. They shifted away from almost exclusively Netflix to almost everything but Netflix at this point. Yeah. Granted, that is truly anecdotal, but like,
I think that's widespread. I think you can say that.
Yeah.
From the nature of there's more things to experience, so there's only so much time in the day, right? You can, if you're watching, I just found out Fringe is on HBO Max. And I would watch all 5 of those seasons right now if I had nothing else to do. Yeah. But there's 9,000 other things on TV that I haven't seen yet. Yeah. So, and then I try to coordinate with my wife and my kid, and then all of a sudden I don't even freaking know what's on when anymore.
Totally. Or where? Yeah.
I know Marvel drops stuff on Wednesdays, but that's literally only because I think it was Dan. One of my friends said, "No, Marvel stuff's on Disney Plus on New Comics Day," and I went, "Okay, great. I can remember that, because of, what's in my brain for so many years." But I don't know what's on when. I don't know what's good to watch. I'll watch some crappy thing on YouTube of the Hot Ones thing about hot sauces. And then Josh Brolin will just mention, "Oh, I just did this really cool show called Open Range and you should watch it." And I'm like, I would never have heard about that if I wasn't just eating lunch and watching some silly thing on YouTube, right?
Yeah, we're so atomized in that way.
Entertainment Weekly is a website like everything else now. There's no such thing as streaming TV guide, really. And even if there was, there's no water cooler moment anymore because there are no water coolers. All 3 of us are sitting in our houses, right? We're not at work going, "Holy shit, did you just see the latest Hill Street Blues? That was great." Yeah. And you just don't get that now because all you get is "Fuck you for talking about this fun thing you enjoyed. I can't watch it until 3 days from now because my grandmother's in the hospital." It's well, sorry. I thought Moon Knight was cool.
I think structurally Netflix always had a problem where they didn't curate stuff enough. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive a little bit to us as nerds, but you would just if you're just perusing action movies, you have some piece of shit next to Indiana Jones. And there's no commentary. There's no hey, this is a 5-star movie. This is a 1-star movie, Yeah. And I think so Netflix has a ton of stuff. If you go through their categories, there's no way to know when it got there, when it's leaving, how good it is. There's just no way. And it's kind of like this warehouse almost. It's we need signs on the aisles. You know what I mean? We need to know the cameras are down here.
Look at us. We're 3 dopes and we have a catchphrase, right? Fridays at noon on the internet, except when it's not. But we tried to do it. Right. And it just seems like Netflix should be they should have Tuesday afternoon is all our good stuff. And then Wednesday afternoon,
it's not even
French stuff or whatever,
it's not even the first of the month. It's the weird, oh, what's dropping in Netflix in September? And it's oh, well, this comes September 4th. This comes September 13th. It's what the, who's keeping track of this?
Our family. We have a paper calendar. You're getting your wisdom teeth out. We got to go to the doctor. Here's fucking Doctor Strange. That's something we're all going to have to deal with.
Well, much like Star Trek, Netflix has a discovery problem. Oh, hey,
nice.
That's the problem on Netflix. Real is exactly what you described. It's a user interface issue. It's on what do they show you. There's a lot of stuff. There's no way on Netflix to just say, show me everything and like let me sort through it. You can't do it. And their discovery algorithms, I believe, have gotten weaker too because they removed the dislike button in Netflix. That's gone away in YouTube now to some degree. It's still there in YouTube.
Still there, but you can't see it. Yeah,
you can't track. Yeah, you can't see it. You can't see the dislikes. But so that helps a lot. Those things also, and then the user's use of it is what should be informing the algorithm. And they should be showing me a much weirder shit than they are showing me.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Or there should be a bucket for that, right?
Well, so this circles back.
Shit.
This circles back to Larry's point where they have spent a shit ton of money producing content, right? And all of it is terrible. Like, I'm not gonna say all, obviously, hashtag not all Netflix, not all Netflix, hashtag, right? But like all of it is bad. And all of it gets bad reviews. And it's like that Katie Sackhoff sci-fi show was atrocious. They spent a shit ton of money there. The movies they've made, that Will Smith movie got mixed reviews, and that's like the best one.
The Max Landis one?
Yeah. And like there's just countless other examples of I don't even know their names. Like they're just it's a Netflix original. Okay, well,
but I can do the same thing. I loved Old Guard with Charlize Theron, and
I loved Old Guard. That was a great movie.
Secret
and there's no sequel. There's no sequel.
No, but there's reasons. It's coming.
But this is my point though. It's like the things people like, they don't double down on, except Stranger Things. Stranger Things is going to go for 20 seasons. Like, and they're going to be Stranger Things in the nursing home. Like they're Finn Wolfhard, whatever. We're just going to follow his entire life through Stranger Things. But I mean, every other show, it's 3 seasons and out. Lost in Space was great. 3 seasons and out. You know?
Well, I think I one of the things for sure that I've liked about the introduction of competition into this space is that you see the different people try different things. So they didn't just ape the Netflix model. Disney Plus doesn't dump an entire season of anything for you to binge watch. They went back to that appointment viewing model, and that really worked for them, especially with Mandalorian and whatever. It creates the water cooler moments Larry's talking about. That was smart. And then HBO, they will, in the beginning, if you play a feature, they'll give you a little bumper before it of something related to it that probably would appeal to you. A tiny little 15-second thing like, oh, do you check this series out that we've got? There's almost no equivalent to that in Netflix, where it's purely just thumbnails. And I read recently they're giving you different thumbnails depending who you are. So they're putting different characters in the forefront depending on a lot of things, your demographic background, but especially things that you've watched and are choosing. So they're trying to but that's all they have is that little rectangle, and they're sacrificing a lot.
Here's a super interesting thing about that, Dan, that they're making the audience work very hard. Like, I'm open to stuff. I'm with you. Like, show me the crazy shit. All my favorite things are stuff I ran across that I had no idea about. And man, there's this Roman Coppola movie called CQ that no one has ever heard of. It's not. It's only on Warner's does this thing on Amazon that they print the DVD for you. So they didn't even believe in it enough to do a Blu-ray run. And that movie's great. But and I proselytize it because you'll never find it. It's streaming anywhere, and it's great. But it was an accident. So now if you think, oh, I have to keep track of what's going on, you're only going to watch the stuff that you already know you're going to like. Because the way the Rona is, there's only so much time in the day. People are going to work and getting concussions, and they're not following the paperwork about it. Like, when you go home, you don't want to think about TV. You just want to let me watch something cool. And like you said, they were helping you before, and now it's just hey, good luck. There's 9 other streaming guys that you're paying for. Just there's something good somewhere. Upload season 2 is on. Fuck, really? Yeah. Oh, I watched it all already. Like that's not what I like about talking about TV and movies with my friends.
The thing that's interesting about it too is that, you know, YouTube is the monster in the space. YouTube is like bigger than all the other streaming services combined as far as the money they make, the advertisers they reach, the people they reach. And here's the capper. YouTube is paying nothing for their content because we're giving it to them for free right now, right? We're providing it, but because they cut you back in, they're like, Dan, we're going to make maybe 5 cents on this video, but we're going to give you 3 of them, right? They really do make it the most equitable deal in town. And that's what drove the best content creators, present company excluded, to YouTube. And we've seen the level of quality just go up and up to the point where if the thing you like me is documentaries and TV, like if you were a big like documentary PBS Discovery Channel watcher or whatever, you don't need any of that stuff. YouTube gives it all to you, all the how-to stuff, anything you got out of PBS or DIY Network or any of those like nonfiction things is done in, you know, for free in YouTube and way better. So that's why I'm pro Google. If we're talking stock tips, guys, it's Goog.
I'm kind of surprised that just the audience is having trouble with all this, like, you know, plethora of goodness. Because yesterday we live out on the beach and we have solar panels because our electrics is kind of spotty out here. It's like 80-year-old infrastructure. So every once in a while we're gonna, you know, somebody will hit a bump or set their car alarm off, and then that cuts out power to like the neighborhood. So yesterday I was in the middle of something. My wife was on a phone call actually, and the power goes out, and you're just screwed. Nothing you can do. But because I'm an old man, I'm like, great, I got to finish this Mark Altman book about Star Trek's the first 50 years of Star Trek. I got to finish that. And I sat and made myself a sandwich. I sat down and read like 100 pages of stuff waiting for the power to come on. And when it did, I kind of didn't care. I'm like, I got to finish this. This book is great. But like, that's a thought my kid would never have. He would just sit there and go, what do I do now? Wow. even with parents that are like, come on, go outside, let's play, let's go run around the beach or something. He's like, what? He literally has to make the adjustment. Like, all right, let's see. Let me go through all this stuff that I like doing needs power. All right, I'll go throw the ball around with my dad. But like, it takes him like 15 seconds, right? It's crazy. Anyway,
well, Dan, you brought up advertising a second ago, and that is probably, I would say, fundamental to the Netflix model is no advertising, right? And
well, they just announced their.
I was gonna say, I mean, is this the final stroke where it's like, no, you need advertising because everyone else has advertising.
They're going to introduce a free tier that will have commercials,
right?
And will bring people in for discovery. It's just that's what they get from Hulu. So like all the different guys experimenting with these different things are proving out what the right business model is going to be. I think and the right technological model.
I mean, is the right model just like cable TV? Is that what we're gonna get back to? Like,
there's going to be a streaming aggregate service though, that like for $100 you get like these 10 things and just stop complaining about it.
Well, that's what they're doing at the ISP level now. They will bundle in. They'll give you Hulu, Netflix, and whatever as part of your deal. One was to boost subscriber growth because whether you use it or not, you're technically a subscriber at that point. But then they really push that. I believe commercials are coming, and then just like YouTube, the key thing YouTube is missing has been original content that was like studio produced. They had a few of those. They had Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
But they have a whole channel that like YouTube Red was all
YouTube Red
stuff, right?
It's nothing. If all that stuff
doesn't exist,
because they realize they really look hard at their numbers and they go, look, These ones cost us nothing to make and are making us billions of dollars every day. These ones cost us millions and are bringing in a trickle, but they're not. It doesn't ROI wise. It makes more sense to let dummies like me throw a bunch of shit at the wall because, dude, an eyeball is an eyeball. If you're watching this or they're watching Star Trek Discovery or whatever, that time is worth the same amount no matter what you're watching. So
speaking of that, did we really go through the Netflix money thing with Star Trek Discovery, or did we blow by that?
Well, no, I was gonna say let's go back to that because I think the Discovery.
Whose cousin is Henry Peter? That's what I want to know.
That's my cousin.
Nice.
Hey,
well, I just wanted to go back to the Discovery thing.
Okay.
I think that encapsulates a lot of these issues into one kind of almost perfect example. So Larry, I don't know if you wanted to kick that off.
Yeah.
Oh, the Discovery thing?
Yeah, Star Trek Discovery.
Okay, well, my understanding, as usual, is imperfect, but here's correct me if I'm wrong. Here's where I know that when they did the Star Trek distribution model, it looked like they had Discovery or Paramount or whoever it was, arranged with Netflix that if they paid for the episode run, which is like 8 or 10 episodes of season 1, that they could have global distribution rights, Netflix.
Yep. Global, including the US.
So they would retain. Wait, not including the US.
Originally, it was including the US.
Oh, was it? Oh man, that would have been great. I God, everybody in the world would have watched that if you could just hop onto Netflix.
There's our issue. Yeah.
So, but anyway, they got fancy and we're like, hey, let's get them to pay for it. We'll keep all the money. We'll work on our CBS All Access streaming thing. Mm-hmm. And then when season 2 comes, Netflix like, great, what are we doing? And they're like, nothing, go screw. And Netflix was like,
And remember, season 1 was like $10 million an episode, something like that.
It was the whole thing was 150, I think. I heard
crazy.
It was 150 mil for 8 or 10 episodes.
But worth way more to a Paramount than it is to a Netflix, right? Because on Netflix, it's just one of among a bunch of shows. For Paramount, they use it to launch their streaming service. Like if you Star Trek dork, you want to see this stuff, you're gonna have to.
I think it still would have been pretty important to Netflix, though. I mean, Star Trek is in the top 10. I mean, until they moved it all to Paramount this year, but before that, Star Trek was in the top 10. I mean, pretty every week. Every week there was a Star Trek show in the streaming top 10.
Oh, for Netflix.
Yeah, for Netflix.
100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, but it's one of among a million different properties. One that they don't own the IP to, where they do own the IP.
But that's the thing. They were going to have exclusive distribution rights, and then CBS turned them around.
I totally see why they made that deal. It was a valuable thing to them.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It was so much hype.
And actually, during the first season, I went on a business trip with my wife to England, and I was able to watch that current Star Trek on my phone in another country. But it had the Netflix graphic come up that said a Netflix original television show or something, original series.
Yeah.
And I had to stop it and dance around our hotel for a while because I was like, this is what the rest of the world sees.
Yeah.
But not America.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see where somebody in a boardroom at Netflix thought that was going to be a good idea.
Sure.
Except it doesn't turn out that way because the rest of the world doesn't really care about Star Trek. It's
well, it didn't turn out that way for Netflix because they got screwed.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, if they were on their 4th season of, we would have all been spared the idiotic Paramount streaming thing.
Well, at the very least, it would have been one less talking point.
Yeah. One less talking point.
I think simultaneously, maybe Paramount, obviously they knew they're got to hitch their wagon to Star Trek. It's not going to work any other way. If they didn't have any Star Trek properties, what would they have on Paramount Plus? They got Halo. Halo, but what else?
Oh,
well, I think
Star Trek.
If I was running Paramount and I had a exclusive thing with Netflix, there would be a Top Gun TV show. There would be Like I would just look at our catalog and
Yeah,
I would
just
make TV shows of everything.
Just do them all.
You're not
And
wrong
then,
about that.
like there would be an Escape from New York television show right now. Like, and I don't see why they don't do that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they have a giant catalog of cool guys.
You're right-
And
you're right about
so,
that.
okay, Snake Plissken is played by Gerard Butler now. That's not good. We want 1981 Kurt Russell, but we can't have that because the way the world is. But on the other hand, there's a Snake Plissken show, right? I mean, come on.
And the risk is low because if it does
They
well,
own it.
it's a hit, great. If it doesn't, people forget about it. It's the crappy that Escape from Tucson show they made or whatever. It didn't have the same gravitas,
Right. Escape from Walmart.
Cousin Hank chiming in. He was tempted to get Paramount Plus. I was the same way. I've been tempted to Paramount, but then I go, I guess maybe the thing that might tip me over into subscribing is all the movies, like you just mentioned. Like Paramount's got great movies, so
I will say Paramount Plus is infinitely better than CBS All
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, at least it's better than what we
Yeah.
first got.
I've actually watched things on Paramount Plus, and I would.
I watch it a lot because of the movies, and I like Halo, and
Yeah.
there's 4 Star Trek shows. Star Trek.
Okay, boys, let's rank the streamers. Give me your top 3 streamers.
Wait, the ones we use the most, or the ones with the prettiest girls?
favorite or
let's
most
say
spacesuits.
there's when they started, they were pretty cheap, $5-6 a month, and now they're getting into the 10, 12, $15 a month, right? My theory is this, though: there's a cap, which is like what you used to pay for crappy cable. You'll pay pretty much close to that to get a bunch of different streamers. So that gives you room for maybe, I don't know, that gives you room for more streaming services, I think, for sure. For me, I'll start us off. I'm going to start my number. It's going to be the ones I could not live without. Like if I'm canceling, the last thing I'm going to cancel is my YouTube subscription. I pay to get no ads on YouTube, and I love that. Okay. Never going to give that up. Second one, just based on usage alone, is going to have to be.
Never going to give you up.
It's going to be HBO Max because of the content, because of Looney Tunes for the kids. And I watched the Batman. We could talk about that too if we got some time. And then Disney Plus, and then I got nothing else. For me, that's it. And my wife watches Netflix, but I don't watch anything on Netflix.
I was gonna say Disney Plus has got to be top 1 or 2 for everybody.
So, are we talking
There's one show on Netflix, guys, though that we are giving the short shrift to. I don't know. Have you watched Is It Cake?
Oh my God, we were.
I have definitely seen.
I love Is It Cake.
Now that is high quality entertainment.
That
for the
is.
family.
We're on. Last night we watched season 5, and Mikey Day had like the best line. He just like this throwaway thing about like, oh yeah, I'm one of the white guys on SNL, and I started crying, laughing, and my family was mad at me. They were like, we have to put this on pause because you're a moron. I'm like, no, that's so funny.
Okay.
Anyway,
so that was
Is It Cake? I love it.
Netflix is a distant fourth, and like CNN, I get all of my news, including CNN, Fox, anything, Russia Today, and my favorite political thing is Breaking Points on YouTube. So no, CNN would never even be a consideration. That's why they flopped.
Well, they lasted like 4 days.
Well,
right?
the CNN Plus thing was doomed to fail from the
I'm
start.
not sure I have a ranking, but I can tell you like the ones I use all the time. I mean, because we're a media family, we have pretty much everything. So I mean, I love HBO Max. I actually love Paramount Plus because it's full of stuff to watch. I say Hulu. Hulu's crazy good.
Hulu's
I love
great.
Apple TV.
Hulu's
Oh my God.
underrated.
Apple TV like really shot up when we started watching Morning Show. I mean, For All Mankind, of course, right? But we started watching.
I heard everything is good on Apple TV. I definitely heard.
I haven't seen of the shows and movies I've watched. I haven't seen a stinker, right?
I've only seen the Jon Stewart clips they show on YouTube, and I like.
That's actually that's the weak show. Honestly, everything else is like better than that. And this documentary thing is fine. It's great, but like yeah, I mean, there's Tom Hanks does a movie every once in a while, and he's like, put it on Apple TV.
Greyhound is
Yeah, great.
awesome.
They're doing a sequel to Greyhound. Did you hear
Thank
about
God.
that? Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, I was
They
like,
just finished filming their Masters of Air, whatever it is, which is the Band of Brothers sequel about the Air Force. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks owns World War II, and it's the greatest thing ever.
This can't be true. By the way, that would be
that can't be true.
CNN Plus could not stream from the CNN channel, so they had
who
no
knows?
content.
There might be some
I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But
yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Larry. So now
what about Amazon Prime?
So we have it, but I never watch it. I love Upload. Someday I'm gonna watch The Expanse just to.
It's so good.
I have it for free. So almost never watch it, but occasionally, if I'm going to watch a movie, I'll go there, and if it's on Prime, I'll watch it for free. Otherwise, I'll probably go to YouTube and pay for it on YouTube.
Yeah. My big problem with Amazon Prime was their early days. They didn't really have a good setup, and we didn't have a computer-enabled TV, so I was trying to run it through TiVo, and that just did not work.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all I want to do is watch the Tick Show, and it just was. It was a half-hour show that took me a half hour to get to access, right? So I'm like, I just gave up. So now it's in my head that Amazon Prime is stinky, but I mean, it's clearly not. I love that show, Upload.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I have a follow-up to this, but I want to know John's top streaming services. Like, what is the thing? Which is the last one you would give up?
So I mean, I'm gonna remove Amazon Prime because I would not give it up for the shipping, not for the streaming.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we have it, right?
Right.
Man in the High Castle was okay.
Yeah. No, I love
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Pretty good.
Oh yeah, the missus loves that.
Yeah. I think just in terms of volume, it's got to be Disney Plus. It's got and then I haven't checked out HBO Max as much as I probably should. But I feel like I'm missing one.
You know, Paramount, I'm telling you, they have Comedy Central in there. I have that on every day for hours.
That's the other thing, because the corporate conglomerates are so weird. Just random shows that you love are on like Peacock for some reason or whatever, So I don't know.
When they did AP Bio season 4, like we have to get Peacock,
right?
And then I immediately loved it. It's like it's full of like crazy. Yeah. And you know what I really like?
But like, imagine like I don't know, even 5 years ago, all of that would have been on Netflix.
No, I agree. That's why that's the splintering, the balkanization of the whole thing, which is why I firmly believe there's going to be a streaming aggregate, because this kind of shit just splits the audience, and
there has to be.
They want everyone's money, and they just want to.
And people are going to rebel because there's only so much money, and we're in an economic downturn. Like, come on, there's only so much.
It's been a boom to production in Hollywood, though, for sure. Like the streaming, once that entered, they were in a real lull. I was working for a union down there, doing some work and talking to them about it, and they're like, "Oh man, when streaming came in, finally jobs started to really open up. It really did a lot."
I mean, you quadruple the number of content creation houses, and all of a sudden you got jobs for everybody.
Okay, but so that's a perfect segue into the other Netflix thing that they dropped, which was that they're dropping so much animation. They've made a conscious decision. They're dropping Jeff Smith's Bone, and they're saying that they're basically realizing they're like, yeah, we let everybody do the highest quality stuff that they could without much limits, and it just didn't pay off. The stuff that is cheaper, the ROI is just better, and that's where we're moving now. Animation is too expensive.
That Bone thing's killing me because they've been working on that since 2017.
That's weird.
Anyway, that's like Mouse Guard. You remember what happened to Mouse Guard? It's the price. It's a cool comic. You don't really need to know what it's about. It's a cool comic. It gets wrapped up. It's bought. They're like, okay, there are 2 days away from principal photography starting, and Disney buys 20th Century Fox. So instead of just like actors on the show had bought houses because they knew they were going to be there for like 6 weeks or whatever, right?
Yikes.
And they're like, yeah, we're not even just putting this on pause. That was a 20th Century Fox thing. We're just not going to do it. And so that's happening with their animation stuff, where it's like, here's the seismic event that we're just going to take advantage of and blame everything on this. So it's like, oh, there's the Rona, Russia's, invading Ukraine. We're not liking the money we're getting back on that Ryan Reynolds thing. And then pretty soon everybody's just like, all right, that's it. I just think it's funny because Netflix basically told everybody, go watch Disney Plus. Like Mandalorian 3 is coming out pretty soon. We have to get our shit together.
They did, and that's pretty much what
I think that's great. That's what you want from a company, right? Anyway.
Well, okay, guys. So we know our streamers. What about now? I'm having this argument with a financial advisor who advised me heavily to go into Roku, and I thought it was not great. I'm not a proponent of it because they're like, it is the number one streaming device. But I go, that's because they install it in every TV, whether you use it or not. Now that comes out has Roku in it. So I want to know, service aside, how are you getting your stuff? How are you watching? Are you watching on a big screen? And if so, how are you getting it there? So for me, it's Chromecast from my phone or my laptop. Any service, anything I can watch on a web browser, I can watch on Chromecast on my TV. So it's the natural number one thing that somebody like me would use. But what are you guys using?
We have a giant TV that's all computer enabled. So whenever some new streaming thing comes out that I care about, I tell, hey, Meme, this is like $13 a week, but I need this for, whatever. And she'll be like, all right. So that's not a hassle, but the Roku thing is good if you travel a lot. I mean, what is that thing? Like $20, $30? And it has all the streaming that you have on it, right? It's a little thing about this big. And so, like, we just went to Puerto Rico. As long as the TV has a USB port, or Mimi has some kind of cord too, the HDMI cord that adapts to it. So you can play the Roku through any TV anywhere. So, yeah, right on. Like, you can watch your home stuff wherever you are. So
that's the same though with Chromecast, Amazon Fire. They're all moving to that dongle kind of like HDMI dongle model.
Yeah,
just love that word.
I love that word too. That's a Silicon Valley word where everybody goes dongle.
So I feel like that was one of the things though that I felt like the device, like, and almost nobody I know uses an Apple TV, for instance, and not many people I know use a Roku box. Like it's either phones, computer stream to, or it's like on their iPad or something like that.
Yeah, you don't need another box anymore for anything.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
I'm pretty sure my parents have a Roku box.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Which is like that says
that's it. Yeah.
That's like, I know my parents have it in their TV, but they wouldn't know how to use it if they even understood what it was too. So it's like, but they count as an installed user of Roku. That's why I just think we've seen Roku stock. Oh my God, it's down like 80% in the past few months. It's insanity. It's insanity. Wow. Oh, our pal Mark Bernal, Larry, this is we did his comic. He had the crazy comic we reviewed last week.
I totally remember. His stuff is so awesome.
Yeah, he's right. His
Chromecast dongle failed. Well, you just get some and that'll be fine.
There's an ointment for dongle failure.
Some of the jokes are obvious, but they're still old friends.
So yeah, guys, I think that's the environment we're in. I feel like as long as the price of the streamer does not get to the price of, like, cable was the worst deal in the world, right? Because you paid 10 times as much as you pay for any streaming service and watch, 1/20th of what you would watch.
That's one thing that makes Disney so valuable is it comes with ESPN. Like live sports was always
That's huge.
the unattainable cable goal, right? So like, I need live sports, so I have to pay for basic cable, you know. So once you can get ESPN live sports, even CBS has live sports. You know, I'll never watch them. Just
I don't watch any. I don't care.
But once you get past that live sports hurdle, it's game over for cable.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. As a service, you know.
I love my basic cable. I watch everything. When I get off of this, I'm gonna have lunch and watch.
I miss like I'll tell you, I miss like basic cable movies. You know, where it's like, oh yeah, I was watching this weird movie on TBS, and it turns out it's like some cult movie from the 70s.
That's what I was speaking
like
about.
Star Wars.
You could run across cool shit with just flipping through the channels.
Yeah,
that's
how I first watched Star Wars. The first time I watched Star Wars, I guarantee you, was like, you know, on channel 11, 4 o'clock on a Sunday. You know, just sitting there playing with Legos.
That's discovery, and I actually really, Larry, I honestly thought Netflix could try a clicker style interface. Like, what if you could switch between shows that are running, literally like flip between a few different things like you could in the TV days? I don't know. Anything's better than just a thumbnail. Like being able to jump around and be like, boom, what's going on there?
I don't know. I'm sure there's some technological limitation of that, right? Because you're going to be flopping between servers someday.
Well, they can make it happen. They can.
I don't know. That's a computer
make
thing.
it happen.
Make it happen.
None of us are going to be happy until we can go, computer, season 3 of Next Generation. You know,
hello, computer.
Right, exactly.
Use the keyboard.
Speaking of that, can we have 15 minutes to just like shit on Picard?
Yes.
Oh my God.
No. I
was talking with Alan David Doan this morning, and that guy said the smartest thing ever. I said something to him that was the smartest thing ever, and then he replied with the smartest thing ever. So nice job, Alan. I thought I was the smartest one in the room, but it turns out I'm not. It's Alan David Doan. But
more cousins.
Dude, we got a Shaheen family gathering.
We were talking about how modern Star Trek sucks because the old Trek is like, here's some action adventure show that something cool is happening that talks about a big thing in the human experience. And it was something you could think about later. It's like even the shittiest shows, like What of Lazarus? The Alternative Factor, where a guy fights his evil negative twin over it. Like, that's a thing to think about. Like, that's two sides of human nature, right? Even the dumbest show would make you think. And the new show, it's just like, here's some cool big thing that this is how you should feel about it, right? And it's like, well, first of all, I don't trust other people to tell me how I should feel about stuff, much less in my entertainment. The whole reason I'm trying to get entertained is so I can experience something, you know, for myself with other like-minded people. Not like, you know what, you know, being transgendered is just as cool as anything else. It's like, really, do you have to spend 2.5 years on that? It's like, we know how we all feel about that. Like, it's the human condition. Star Trek fans embrace everybody. You don't need to have like the theme of your show be that, because we know. But Alan said, like, I don't know. I forget what he said because it was smarter than me and it didn't stay in my head. But I wanted to give him credit.
Come on, Alan. Tell us what you said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't need to be like, I think that they should be reflecting current day struggles in storylines, right? And that should be what an episode is maybe about. You explore a theme or something like that.
But that's what old Star Trek is, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's half black and half white, and this guy's half white and half black. What's the difference? That's the point, right?
Right.
It's stupid. When you look at it, it's like, oh, that guy's the Riddler. But once you start thinking about it, it's like a big deal. But they don't do that now. They just go, oh,
well, what's interesting about
characters
new Star Trek, and this goes back to this week's Picard episode, is they're intentionally setting up these quote unquote serialized stories, right? Which everyone knows they think means 10 episodes of one story, right? But that's not what they do. They have all these side plots, they have all these side tangents. The pacing of the season in every show is awful. I mean, I don't understand like what they don't understand about the thing they're trying to do. Like, what was the point of this episode? What was the point of last week? What was the point of the week before? Like, there's no point to any of these things. It's not even like I don't even care anymore about like the social politics or whatever. Like, congratulations. Like, I mean, it kind of gets me a little irked when they're like, we need to deal directly with the social politics of today, but it's 1,000 years in the future. It's like, that's not good writing, but okay, fine, whatever. Like, what offends me more is just the complete lack of structure to these stories. Like, what happened to like the Border Queen was completely absent for like 2 episodes now. Like, she's the Border Queen. She's running around LA in 2024. You think that would be a big deal, right?
You know what they would tell you though, right? Well, we gave
No.
you Girardi, and she's like it's a hybrid queen now.
Sure, that's fine. And the guy, one of the
jump.
producers or writers or whoever was on Twitter, like kind of like mocking criticism. Was like, oh, like no show has ever had multiple storylines. It's like, yeah, every show has multiple storylines. They just do it well.
Right, exactly.
Like, what do you not understand about? Like, are you watching the same thing that we're watching? Like, this isn't good. Like, and it's such a I said this on Twitter. It's such a frustrating show to critique and to think about because there are so many elements of the show I actually do like. I like Rios. I like 7 to 9. I like I even like Girardi to some extent as like a comic relief background character. Like, you're gonna do a time travel story, fine, whatever. They're not really doing it that bad. Just in the basics, but then you get into the details and they're going around like getting in car chases with cops and shit, and it's like, what are you guys doing?
But don't step on any butterflies. But
right, exactly.
Right. And it's like, it's just it's such a frustrating show. Like, why isn't 7 to 9 the main character? Ostensibly, like obviously Picard has to be the main character. Why isn't 7 of 9 the actual main character? But she's like a background character.
That's like, the thing exactly. It's what we all know who Picard is, so I get not doing a big character thing. But what does he want? And who's the bad guy? Right?
This whole nonsense about Picard, like
I don't know,
around with his mother. Like, I'm so sick of like they did this shit with Spock. They did this shit with like. Stop trying to give backstory to characters that have been on the screen for 50 years. Stop doing it. Come up with a new character. They have Rios. They have Girardi. They have Raffi, who is a terrible character, but at least is the new character. Like, care about these guys. Like, it drives me insane.
I started paying attention to Raffi because of your hate for her. I just ignore the character. She doesn't add anything. So bad. But so last episode, I'm like, what does Price hate about this? And like, everything. Yeah, like there's literally no reason for her to be there. She's just like
well, and you know, it's funny because they write her in a completely offensive, stereotypical way. She's the mean, sassy black woman who comes from a poor background, and like it's just the most regressive and offensive way of writing a black female character. Like, it's insane. Like, if some right winger like put out a show, or some Trump supporter show had Raffi as a character, they would get lambasted. They would get crucified for, oh my God, this is the most offensive portrayal of all time. Right. But because these guys talk about on Twitter how much they love social politics, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Raffi, it's like, no, you guys are stupid. Like, you're a stupid audience. You're a stupid audience. That's it. I'm sorry.
It's true.
I understand art is subjective. I understand things liking is subjective. I just wrote a whole goddamn blog thing about how pop culture is subjective. However, if you like these shows, you're an idiot.
Some things are truly objective.
Yeah. No argument.
There's no other explanation for it.
Co-signed.
Like, there's a lot of things I like that are stupid, and I'm like, yeah, that's really stupid.
Poor Sean Gebhardt's going to get mad because I keep telling him, it's like, look, if you like the show, that's fine. That's the thing you
That's
like.
fine.
I'm not making an insult against you personally, but that's because John will.
I was gonna say, I'll do it. I'll do it.
That's because the insult is implied by.
Right.
Well, look,
everything you
there are
say
a lot
you-
of shows that are bad that I like, right? And I don't know what's one. I don't know. There's stupid shows all over the place that I like, but I don't go.
Is it cake?
Is it perfect? Right, but I don't go around pretending like it's some like groundbreaking social politics
Well,
commentary.
that's the thing, yeah.
Like,
You're not watching. You're not watching. Is it cake? And wanting to analyze what's going on.
Oh my God, it's groundbreaking. Is it cake?
I think it's very representational, though. I will say that in the contestants and stuff. And some of the guests, the hosts and the judges that they pull into that show are like, who are these people?
There was one guy who was like just so happy to be there. He was like, I can't believe this is a real show. Yeah, I think that one's cake. It was great.
It really is.
I don't know the guy's name, but
I was skeptical until I watched an episode. My kids and my wife got into it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I see what's going on here. It really is pretty interesting show.
The missus has been making us watch all these Nick Lachey reality shows.
Oh no!
Are you guys familiar with this subgenre?
I know Nick Lachey, but
it's Nick Lachey and his wife. I don't know her name, but it's something Lachey. And all there's this entire genre of reality shows where they take couples and it's like ultimatum. You have 90 days to propose to your girlfriend, or you can propose to this other lady you're going to live with for 90 days. Like, it's like the weirdest stuff. And and they just get everyone drunk. Everyone's drunk the whole time and they just film it. It's amazing. Those are not good TV. I'm not pretending they're good TV. See the difference?
Fair enough. Well, so then there's room for people to have their junk food. Star Trek too.
I love junk food.
Right? So who are we to judge?
Yeah.
I'll judge.
But that's the Star Trek thing in a nutshell, right? They're trying to do something different. They're trying to make it into a nighttime soap opera, and that's great. Just call.
And can I just go real quick? I'm real sick of these producers and writers being on Twitter making fun of people who criticize their show. Like, if you're really that skin thin that you're on friggin' Twitter, like going around being like, oh, look, I'm a keyboard warrior. Yeah. Like, screw you, buddy. How many millions of dollars did you make for this piece of shit? I'm over here putting in my free time, giving you those millions of dollars, telling you how to do your job better. Fuck you.
I just love, who was that last guy? Terry
Matalas. He's the showrunner. He's the fucking showrunner.
I want those guys on Twitter because they get raped by people that are more clever than that.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, you stuck your head up over the parapet. And you got killed. I'm sorry. That's just maybe keep your head below in the safe in the castle, because you're not going to like it out here. Because everybody out here knows how to write a better Star Trek than you guys.
And look, I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that.
No,
all right, I understand. I just want Star Trek to be good. All right, that's something that I think everyone fundamentally misunderstands. We all want Star Trek to be good because it means something to us in our lives. This stupid TV show from 55 years ago means something to us, and we want it to continue. We don't want it to be this mind-raping drivel.
Right.
Okay, so guys, we're almost out of time. We're almost out of time here, and I often feel like little left out because I don't watch all the Star Trek you guys.
You're not missing anything.
I can't hate it the way you do, but
our blood pressure is much higher than yours.
So, but I did watch this. So can we touch on this for a second? Because I got a couple of reasons to hate this thing.
Oh yeah.
I got a few reasons to like it too. Like I liked some of it. I think his The look of the Batman's kind of lame. The look of the Riddler, not my cup of tea. But to me, it all comes down to the writing. Everybody was talking about how this is the detective Batman we've been wanting to see and we've been longing to.
I've seen that a lot. Yeah.
Dude, but it's like, okay, I'll be a detective. I'm going to go in my Batman suit. I'm going to literally walk up to the bad guy's hideout, knock on the door, and start punching people in the face until I get answers. Is that what the world's greatest detective is going to do?
Detective.
Okay. And also the police. My best buddy, Jim Gordon, is just a cop. We're sitting literally in a room with 50 other cops and the chief of police, all who are like, man, this guy is an illegal vigilante. And like, he's never just bum rushed. Like there's at least 4 or 5 times in this movie where he should have just been killed outright. And is not there's no sneakiness to this Batman. He is the opposite of sneaky. Even in the opening scene with the Joker gang, okay? There's this gang of Joker dudes. And then they see Batman for the first time, and they're like, well, who are you? What are you? Are you kidding me? There's a bat signal, dude, on top of the police station that they're shining all the time. He knows who Batman is. That's just to get him to say the line, I am vengeance, which, again, is the stupidest fucking... So it's not just that he says it once. Once would be cool. But, dude, the Penguin refers to him as vengeance. Catwoman calls him vengeance in this thing because he says it so much. Like, that's his catchphrase, apparently, out in the world, is I am vengeance. So Jim Gordon, who knows him, who's in the same room with him, half his mask is not even showing. And then you're in the room with the same jawline and the same build and the same age of Bruce Wayne, and you're a detective. And he says, vengeance is my motivation. Like, I'm here because you can't figure this thing out. I totally lost it all. The clues of the Riddler, guys. Here's what I want to ask your opinion, especially Larry, and you saw it too, right, John? You saw it.
I have not seen it yet. No.
Okay. All right.
Spoil away.
This is full spoiler alert.
That's
okay. You watched it, right, Larry?
I did.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though, real quick. This speaks to the streaming thing, though, right? Because I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I burned through so much entertainment. I kind of don't remember. I remember like the Catwoman was great, kind of looked like a Darwin Cook drawing, and then I'm annoyed by the whole Cure fan makeup, eyeliner, melty shit.
That's funny.
But it was fine. It was fine. It's kind of unmemorable, which is not what you want from a Batman movie.
That's what I'm saying. Well, so the Riddler's motivation, I don't really understand why he did anything of what he did.
Yeah, I don't either.
Why is he killing people? If he's a hero, he wants to be a hero, but then he's a mass murderer. The Riddler, his motivation is the simplest of all the Batman villains. It's stated from this first appearance. He just wants to prove he's smarter than Batman. Full stop. That's it. You could make a great character in a great movie in modern days with just that premise. Right. You know, he should have just figured out who Bruce Wayne is and just make his life miserable. But so instead, we're treated to, and I can't decide. I haven't decided if this is genius or not. I'll try not to spoil this too much, but the final clue, like the weapon that the Riddler used to hit people and kill people in the movie, you go like, what is that thing? What is that thing? And it becomes very important to the end and finally solving his final puzzle. And I can't decide if that's genius or utterly ridiculous.
You know, it's Batman, so it's both, right?
Yeah, it should be both, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's both.
Yeah. My kid loved the design of the Riddler. He thought it was cool. He loved, like, we're in it. It was the day before opening day. We're at the fan thing. We got our pins and coins. We're fucking loving it. He sits down. They have that scene where they show, I mean, the Riddler's motivation is that he's Alex Jones, right? That's what they're commenting on. And so you got all the people on the side where it's scrolling down. How can I look like the Riddler? Well, his mask is a Belgian winter thing, and this is probably this particular kind of thing. And in a day, I had all that stuff because my kid whips out his phone, takes a picture of the screen. We the next day we get online, we buy like one of everything, and it's a simple thing just to paint that question mark on there. I took a picture. He had a full-on screen accurate thing. Like, we're like, thank you. What's his name? Not Todd Phillips, whoever's directing it. thank you for putting that up there because you just helped all the cosplay guys, right? So in 3 days, I put a picture of my kid dressed up in all the same shit on Facebook. But that was the end of our interaction with that movie. Like, and so when everybody went, hey, it's on HBO Max now, I'm like, yeah, welcome to February, I guess. You know what I mean? But that's what streaming does. Nobody watches stuff at the same time anymore. And it made me sad. Because I would have loved to rip on that movie, but I just kind of like, it was fine.
A bunch of people did wait, though. Like a lot of the people that did wait, like now they are. Once it did drop, people were hyped to see it. Like if the theater was the only way to know it was going to be in my living room in a couple of weeks, like I probably would have motivated and got out to see it. But
you know what it reminds me of? Speaking of comics, this whole like theatrical thing and what was it? It was really quick. It was like 6 weeks later, right? Onto streaming.
Really quick.
So it just reminds me of like the monthly comics and the trade paperbacks. So people on streaming are just, we're going to wait for trade.
It's the same thing.
So it's two different audiences, really, right?
Yeah.
There are the people that will go to a theater, and then there are people like, I'm just going to wait. And it's not bad, but I will say I turned it on to just see what people are talking about. And it wasn't that dark in the theater, or it didn't feel that way. But on my TV, and I have a really nice place to watch stuff, so I know it's not my TV or my color saturation or light or anything because I'm I have it set up. It was just like, can't really tell what's going on there. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't seen it in the theater, So I don't know if that's a function of streaming or what, because I have a pretty big TV. It's like 53 inches or something, but it's not 30 feet, which is what a theatrical screen is.
And how about, I want to get the job of the focus puller on this movie, because Jesus Christ, does every shot have to be like middle in focus? Everything else, foreground and background, so out of focus it like hurts your eye.
It was a pretty weird style choice because it's relentless. The whole movie's like that. And how about, speaking of relentless, we can wrap this up. What about the Joker at the ending? And have you watched the newly released scene? I haven't seen that yet. I heard it's pretty. I don't care about the Joker. I haven't cared about the Joker for 20 years. So, look, the Joker's in it, and it's the guy from the Eternals. I could not give a shit less. I don't care.
Meaningless.
I just don't care about new Batman, right? Oh, look, it's Batman. He doesn't know what's going on. His costume has a collar on it. Like, I don't care. Like, I love the Ben Affleck Batman, where he's been Batman for 20 years and he's fucking over your dumb shit. He's branding people and fucking probably murdering people. That's great. And then like Superman shows up and he's like, oh shit, maybe I better get religion again. That is a fucking great narrative thing. But like, I'm just trying real hard to be Batman. I better turn on the Cure. Oh, cry. You love me. Like, fucking who cares? Are you kidding me? That's all you get out of Batman. All right.
And then how about when he pops the drugs at the end? That was a pretty cool scene, but like
there's cool shit all over that movie, but it's like Star Trek. It's like people have forgotten why this stuff was cool. Right? I
thought they got pretty close. They just tried to get way too edgelord-ish with everything in it, and they could have toned that back a little bit. Batman himself was all wrong. Ben Affleck, I believe, I'm with you, Larry, that is probably the best looking, maybe, and sounding screen Batman that we've ever seen. Yeah. Like it looked the closest to a real guy, like dressing up, like being Batman.
Right. You kind of understood why he would do that. Well, because he's over it, right? That is Batman in a nutshell. But he should be that in year 2, right? You killed my fucking parents. I'm going to fucking knock the shit out of you guys. But no, he's just like, I just don't know where I fit in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's just maddening in that movie because Catwoman is great. Freaking Colin Farrell as the Penguin is great. Right? The Riddler's fine.
I feel like Colin's really let himself go, though.
But I know. I love the great joke that, like, why did he do all that makeup to look like Richard Kind when you kind of could have just hired Richard Kind?
They probably should have.
But the fucking movie's called The Batman. So if all the people around him are great or fine, and Batman's the weak link in a movie called The Batman, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
It's not good.
So
well, they did say Batman is in like every single scene, I think, except maybe that very last scene.
Yeah.
Like he is so focused on in the movie, but I just never felt. I really never felt like this dude was Batman in any way. I felt like he was more. It's almost ironic that it's more realistic. Like if a rich crybaby like grew up and wanted to be Batman, this is the kind of Batman that he would be.
Yeah.
And not the truly driven. Like we didn't get any inkling he's did any kind of training or has any kind of skill. I know he's kind of clever. He solves some bargain basement riddles, but very, very little detecting going on in this great detective flick.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
Guys, that sound means we've completely exhausted.
We got too sad.
We exhausted the tertiary topics, and now we're on to the end. What have I got to go out on? I got a little video. I got something that we can show, I think, today. Let me see what I got. Oh yeah, so what? Serious Star Trek? Yeah, we're having great financial crises these days. We see the stock market roiling up and down. What we need is a financial instrument that's a little more logical. Right? So before we go, I'm gonna show us something a little bit about logical financial instruments. But hey, Larry, we're not gonna be back next Friday, but hopefully we'll be back the following Friday.
Okay.
Where are we gonna be?
Fridays on the internet. Or maybe not. We'll be on the internet.
Keeping money in a savings account where it earns interest is logical. Keeping money in a checking account for convenience is also logical. But it's fascinating when you combine interest and convenience in Atlantic Bank's Interest Plus Checking, the account that draws 5% interest compounded daily on the same money you're using to write checks. How is it done? Ask your Atlantic banker. Interest Plus Checking from Atlantic Bank, the best bank around.